The interesting thing is when you do this live thing is like that this hello everyone is usually just for the people who later watch the recording. So I guess you just watch the recording because whenever you just go spontaneously live, actually no one is tuning in immediately. So I will say hello maybe in 2 minutes again. So just maybe I have to quickly share the links um, so that maybe people can join. I just have to find. This is really like this would be nice in Restream that you immediately get the links to, let's say, from LinkedIn or from YouTube, where your stuff is running. Maybe you can, but I don't know. I click here. Oh yeah, look, at least I can view on YouTube or view on LinkedIn, so I get quick links. Okay, so sorry when you watch the recording, you can just skip over this because like I'm now just sharing the links in the Event Guard community, which is a very nice community of very nice. It's not only data people; it's also like product people in there, but at least like people who care about data and so on. So I'm just quickly sharing it there. Okay, so we have that. Yeah, whatever. Sorry about that. It's always a bit sad, like if you just as a recording. Oh, I even have my own sound in the background. That's also weird. Okay, everything done. Okay, so Eva in the community said she would like to join, but she has a meeting. Cancel the meeting. Um, so there are more important things to do than doing meetings. Okay, and enough rubbish talking. So again, like last week, I think maybe at least so. I'm just thinking about this next Friday and then potentially the last Friday, but let's see about this. So these are my last 2 Fridays before I go on holidays for 4 weeks. I think, yeah, definitely a break that I will need. So of course I will not do any kind of live streaming while I will be on holiday. Um, but at least I intend to do 2 more sessions. So um, no, I will talk a little bit later, like what kind of session I want to do after this one. So I'm just working on the data model that we have for no slides. So no slides. I mean, in the end, like just a. No, I'm not sharing. Oh, God, I'm really tired today. Let me share first. Here we go. So now I'm sharing. So what I'm doing is like so. I mean, just to give you a bit of context. So there's Deep Sky Datalog. Oh, look, sometimes the development team does stuff that I was not even aware of, and I didn't approve that. But it's fine. No, it's good. So I don't have to explain now so much. So Deep Sky Data will be relaunched as no slides. So we do some renaming, do some rebranding. I even did a video about this, but I think this is not released yet. So I hope it will be released maybe next week. So where I explain why we did this. So we were not crazy. We did it for a reason. But in the end, like this kind of platform, this will not change. So we will have courses like these, but we will also have other videos and so on. So in the end, like it's a classic video platform that I have to create a data model for, and and in this let's say in the data model, so I had one before, and but I decided to basically build it up from scratch again, because it was not so big so far, so it was not, let's say, a crazy rebuild. And I thought the first version was okay, but it definitely had some flaws. So I mean, I described a little bit. So if you want to get more details about this, so watch the session from last week, where I describe a little bit the nasty things of deriving, let's say, video progress events. So how people start. So let's say have a classic video viewed event that is tracked after 10 seconds. So as okay, people have viewed the event, and so I mean I could change this also like to more seconds, but I stick with I think 10 or 15 seconds. And then also like have the quartiles for the video. So when they reach 25%, 50%, 75%, of course, when they finish the video. So I remodeled this from scratch. So I even didn't look at how I did it the first time because I already knew that the first implementation was 80% right. So I definitely had some cases in there where it definitely was not modeled in the right way. And so I just thought, okay, it's a good idea to do this from scratch, and also like to really make sure. So, I mean, the first model was mostly built in between. So I had some time, 30 minutes and so. Then I quickly built some because I wanted to get some metrics. I wanted to look at stuff. So I was more driven by the outcome and not really by the quality. And this time I want to take a little bit more, let's say, want to take a little bit more time to do it properly. So Classic built a ugly first POC, which works quite okay. And then now I spend a little bit more time to do the setup properly because like I think like the good thing was like with the first POC was like I got a feeling for what kind of metrics I might need and what kind of events I need to model. That was good, and so now I have a better picture where I need to go. I think this I guess is the best explanation why I did this. So, but anyway, so enough talking. So we continue to build stuff. Let me hop over here. So this is the data model that I'm currently working on. And as you can see here on the left, because everything is green, you can see I didn't even check something. And sometimes at the moment, very not I'm not really disciplined at the moment. So let me quickly do this because like as you can see here, I work in code spaces. So I like to work in code spaces. I can explain in a different video why I like it. But one of the nasty things about code spaces is like if you don't check in your changes and you don't use the code space for some time because you just like work on something else, which can always happen. At some point, GitHub, of course, will delete your code space because you don't use it anymore. And you can change this. You can add it to settings and so on. But yeah, so if you don't commit your stuff and don't push your stuff back into GitHub or into your repository, everything is gone because like the instance is deleted. It's not like it's like you delete your local computer. So definitely forces someone like me who is not very good at these things. Initial setup, yeah, I could have write it better, but anyway. Okay, so who's not really good at it, so it forces me at least like to do it more properly. Origin main, so at least now we have everything in there. Good. Okay, so what we will do today. So last time I explained how I created this member created, video started. I added something else, so maybe I can quickly show this. So I created course started, and this was interesting because like, again, like this is the tricky thing when you work, or tricky thing. I think this is also like the beautiful thing when you work with data setups. Is like, so or maybe let me sketch this out. So let me quickly open up my usual whiteboard. So in the old model, it's more obvious. So we have courses here. So this is a course, for example. And so course means is like, it's just a collection of different kind of videos. So as you can see here, so these are, we call this in the first version lessons. In the new versions, we would just call it videos. So this is in the end like this selection of kind of videos. And so in the existing model here, it's really like you start a course like here, and then you start to watch all the different kind of videos, and then hopefully at some point you end up at the end. One thing that we definitely learned along the way was like that some or some, I would say even like a significant amount of people, they are just jumping between different things that are important for them. Maybe this is not a good example because this is like an end-to-end implementation, so you might really watch this. But we have definitely other topics where people just watching parts of it. And so you cannot really track a full progress in here because like it's not really behaving linear. It's behaving definitely differently. And so one of the things that we changed in the new platform is like we make the videos first-class citizens and the courses, or AKA playlist, second-class citizens. So you will see the videos first, and then of course like you will also learn that like if you watch this video here, you will see okay it's part of a playlist or course there where you can watch videos before that and after that. Let's see if that really works really well. But this makes the whole thing to define, let's say, course started. This looks a bit weird. Okay. So let's say maybe we could even call it playlist started. Makes it a bit difficult to define because, like, when do you start a playlist? I mean, obviously. So you will start a playlist when someone starts to watch a video. So let's say video started and this video is like in the playlist. This is a good crowd. I think. Oh God. Problem is I have a German. Anyway, don't have to explain. No, I have an English keyboard, but I have a QWERTZ layout. This is why I sometimes have problems to type special characters. Okay, so video started in the playlist, and this basically defines playlist started as an event, and then of course like it defines the metric playlist started in specific kind of period. So this in the end would be the resulting metric from that. Why is this metric interesting? To be seen. Since we move for, let's say, video as a first-class citizen, of course, like video started is, or videos, so we have the other metric, which is video started. And then we have some more around that. Basically, I mean, I could do another session where I explain the metric tree for this, but so video start. So in the end, like in the new model, video started becomes the more interesting metric potentially. And I'm not really sure if like playlist started will be so prominent anymore, but I will still keep it because like it might give us an indication that our assumptions are wrong, that video start is like the right way, but we maybe will learn that playlist still play an important part, so I will keep it. So at least I want to model it, but okay, I'm talking really long about getting to the point why it was a bit complicated to decide how to do it. So the interesting thing is like, okay, video started, playlist started. So you pick a video and you start the video, and then you say, okay, this defines playlist started. So one question that I had to solve for myself is like, on which level do we measure this? So and level I mean is like, so we can measure this on a user level or on a session level. And this means on a user level is like, I start a playlist one time. So that's it. When I watch a playlist, let's say I have my favorite playlist and I watch it all the time, which I assume for the content that we create is not the case, but who knows? So when I watch it one time, this metric will not change. So this playlist started metric is based on users who started a playlist for the first time, and that's it. So we don't look into retention, repetition, and so on. Session would be the obviously the different cases like that. I would have to define what defines a session, and then when I restart a playlist in a new session, then of course like I count it up again. So, and this in the end like is a design decision. Again, like a good example why data setups are so complicated, because like these are the things that you don't really think about when you just say, hey, we want to track playlists. But it's an essential one. So it's really like it's a core decision to really make, okay, where do we focus on? Because like it makes the modeling totally different. So if we go for sessions, for example, we have to think about what actually is a session for us. So I have the concept of sessions, for example, in a video started, so like with the whole video playing, because like I need this, for example, to calculate the quartiles, like 25%, 50%, 75%, because this has to happen within a session. So it could be that someone starts a video and then later it starts again. So then it's a different kind of session. So I want to track it differently. And if we want to do this for the playlist, of course, I could go for a natural web session. Natural web session is something you do around, let's say, a window, 30 minutes. So there are some definitions, for example, how all the analytics tools define a session. And so you can just take this and you can take this for playlist started. But that's not really true, because like the playlist usually contains, I don't know, 20 videos or so, and it will take you 90 minutes to watch it. I rarely watch. If I take my YouTube experience, I rarely watch a full playlist in one go. I think I never did it. So usually what I do is like I watch it over a span of 6 months. So all the time I come back and watch another one from there. Or if it's really important for me, I do it over a span of, let's say, a week. I'm gonna go through this. And so this makes this whole session definition thing extremely complicated, because like, how do you define the session? Do you do it on a week? Do you do it on a month? Do you find a clever criteria that cuts session dynamically? I don't know. So I did the obvious. I start with the simple one. So at least this kind of criteria usually works for me. Like when I don't really have an idea how I should approach it, I start with the simple one and see how far it gets me. So what I will do is like, I basically do it on a user base. So in the end, when we count playlist started, we do it once for a user and that's it. And I will just go with it. So the important thing is we have to know this. I mean, this again, like makes data so tricky. So also like when people later work with this, so I have to make them clear for this, like the playlist started is always like on a user base. So when a user starts this playlist 20 times, we still count it as one. And so, but we might do some additional analysis later to see, okay, how many, so because we can still do it, the data is still there. So because we have the video started event, so from there we can derive a lot of things. So I might make a note for me to analyze this later when I have more data, to really see, okay, is this starting the same playlist multiple time a factor or not? Right now, I don't have the data for this. So I'm quite happy with making this simplification decision to say, okay, we do playlist started. Okay, so this is the stuff that I implemented here. So I take the data that I already prepared for the videos. I say, okay, heartbeat number 1 means like the video has been viewed for, I think my heartbeat is 15 seconds. So has been watched for 15 seconds. So I take this and I just, as you can see here, I go for, I create a petition based on the customer, which is the user ID and the course ID. So like the course itself. So I create this and I just take the first occurrence. So in the end, like I take the first time someone watches a video from a specific kind of course and I count this as an event. So very simple implementation. As you can see, it's not really complicated, but I will go for this. I will go with this so far. So another thing that I did, and this is actually I wanted to focus on today, and to want to show a little bit around that. So I now really had the time and opportunity to finally try out Bryce Codell's amazingly good dbt activity schema package. So I know, first of all, I know that I know about. So I know Bryce for a longer time. So we talked, I think, a year or 2 years ago for the first time about activity schema, and there he was already working on something. And now, but he has refined and developed a lot over the time, and it's now it's an amazingly good package. I really like it. So I started to test and play around with it yesterday, and I can quickly then show you what I did so far, and then maybe we can just do one thing that I did yesterday in the schema as well. So how do you explain what it is? In the end, it's like a toolbox, or a toolbox for working with activity schema data models. And so why do you need a toolbox? I guess you need a toolbox because like one of the big benefits of activity schema is the standardization. So you always create a table that looks kind of like this. I mean, you have some variations, but in the no, like this. So you always one of the benefits of activity schema is like you define a structure, how an activity table or a stream table looks like. Which makes it super. I mean, this is the stuff why I love it, because one of the big benefits of having always the same kind of structure is when you work on a project like this, and then you stop working on this for, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks, which for me, I work as a consultant, is the major use case. So I work not always all the time on the same project all the time. So I forget about this project, of course, after 3 or 4 weeks. Whenever I come back to an activity schema project, it takes me 30 minutes to find the right place where I do stuff and changes, because the structure is always the same. So you always end up with the same kind of tables. You know, always like, okay, it's called, of course, we have an activity, we have a customer, we have an activity ID. So even when I'm not the super big friend of enforcing standards, here it totally pays off, because like it makes this thinking about stuff so much easier, because you don't have to remember things. So it's always the same. Always feature JSON where you put all this. So it makes stuff a lot easier. With the package here, it basically builds on top that you have this common structure, and it just gives you shortcuts. So it makes things easier, and it also like, yeah, I mean, it's here. So yeah, make their code so don't repeat yourself. So this is something that that like this package really helps. So like to make the things that you always do, because in the end, I create a model for all the different kind of activities that I create here, and I always end up with the same kind of structure. I mean, of course, like the building of the activity can be different. So, for example, course started as a pretty straightforward activity. Don't have to do so much stuff. Mostly because I did some prep work about the videos already before, which I have in a different model here. Member created, I do a lot more things on the way to, for example, enrich the data a little bit more. And so it can always be different, but the final step is always the same. So this already looks a little bit different. I'll explain in a second why it does, because here I already used the package. So therefore, I wanted to try out this kind of package. And so this package in the end like has different kind of macros, and so we will start just with the let's say activity stream configuration part today, and it also like has something. This was the major reason why I was starting to use this package. It has also like a part about creating query tables, and so one of the nice things about activity schema is that when I built the structure, like we have all my different kind of activities, but then I want to support use cases or questions like, hey, I want to analyze what are the typical entry videos that that people are watching before they become a member. This could be, for example, this would be an obvious product question. And this is something which you can really nicely answer in an activity schema, because like you can, in the end, like because you create this stream of activities of one users. And then with temporal joins, so you basically do an inner join of the stream table, and by that you basically select all the different kind of events that were happening before someone becomes a member, and then you can do whatever you want. So you could say, hey, I'm interested in the first video they watched, I'm interested in the last video they watched before they became member, or I'm even interested in the count of videos they watch in an average. So you can do different kind of analysis in the sequence, which makes it really powerful. And from that, you can derive new metrics. And Bryce created this nice thing that he calls AQL, so Activity Query Language, which I really like, also like as a name, to make this whole queries that you need to build to do this analysis a lot easier, because it's always the same stuff you do all the time. And as we all know, let's say good engineering practice, if you do the same thing all the time, coming back to don't repeat yourself, then of course, like you build a macro for it, or like in DBT case, you would build a macro for it. So yeah, so and this is the reason why I started to use it. But it already helps for setting up all the different kind of streams, because it helps you to make sure that you standardize it in the right way, so you don't make the typical human mistake. So so let me show you how I did it. So first of all, you define some variables in your project. So here we are in DBT project. So as you can see here, I define how I call my stream. So I call it member stream. And stream means is like, this is like where all the activities are. So you can work with multiple streams. There might be setups where you do this. I rarely have setups where I would do it. So I might use a different stream when I have a different identifier that stitches the events together. So right now, a member or a user, that's a good question if I should really call it member stream. I might revisit this later. Maybe I should really call it user stream, because we also have anonymous user. I might change this later. So, but don't do it now because I don't want to break things. So let's say I have a user stream. I could also say I have a video stream. So then, for example, the video ID is the common identifier, and I create all the activities around the video, which then gives me a, let's say, a specific kind of view on video performance. I could derive this also like from here, but if I create, let's say, a video-centric model, it makes it a lot easier to create video-centric metrics, potentially. Something for the future, let's say. Okay, I created this, so then I defined, okay, we have a customer ID, alias. This, in my case, is member ID. So I think the major reason why I call it member stream so far, and the old model which we have right now, you can only really watch the videos when you have become a member. This will change in the future. So this is why I might have to change this here as well. So in the future, a lot of the videos you can just watch without creating an account. So you should create an account to make it easier to, let's say, find new stuff and save where you basically stop watching, bookmark stuff, and so on. So well, let's see. So I might change this later. So this is what you define as the first step, and then what you can do. So I did it just for one activity. Is like, so you can use the configuration. So like here, I explain it in a second, to in the end just build the final building block here. So the final building block that I create here is basically the same stuff that I do here by hand. So always, like in my last statement, I usually build the structure that you need in activity schema with activity ID times time series, not time series, timestamp, activity, customer, blah, 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 whatever. And so, of course, like I always, then you create the helper fields that you usually have in activity schema to make later the temporal joins a little bit easier. And so here I just use the package for it to build me these final CTE, and I just have to point it to, let's say, my final model where I have everything defined as here, and then it can build this thing. So the nice thing is, like, first of all, it enforces that I end up always with the same kind of structure. So I take away one error that can always happen. So you usually will find out when you create then one final model that I did here, where you bring all the different activities into one table. So, I mean, naturally the union all always fails because, like, you miss one field in here, or you have a different order and so on. So things happen when humans are doing stuff. And so this takes it away because, like, it creates a macro. It just brings out always the same kind of structure, and it also, like, makes the entry points a lot easier. So for example, I just define all the data types, or all the properties and dimensional values that I put into my feature JSON. I can just define here at the top of the table, or not on the top of the model. So for me, I have a very quick entry point where I can just see, okay, which kind of dimensional or property values I actually add with all activities. I will always see it here. So this is really nice. I really like this. And also, like, I can define the type here, so really make sure that I always have the same kind of type. So yeah, this is the major thing what the model does for me. And another thing what it does, it can create me a really nice model configuration out of the box. So there I have a command here. where I can do this. And so this is then just created, and it has, so it's nice because the description is, when you use activity schema, always pretty obvious. And the tests are also like pretty obvious. So it adds the tests as well, which of course, like you will definitely always run these kind of tests on these things. And so yeah, I already like it a lot to just create this. I think the pure magic will be definitely unlocked when we start to use AQL. And so this is like the next session that I will do. So I chatted with Bryce yesterday because I had some questions for the setup, and we said, okay, we should definitely do this together. And I said, like, okay, the part when I start to use the temporal joins, I think this is the best place, because this is always a little bit tricky to really understand how to do it in the best way. And then it would be great to have Bryce next to me to just explain when I want to do something. So maybe okay, we're 30 minutes in. Maybe as a, let's say, as a nice final, let's say 10 minutes exercise. So I can just transform this course started into using the new package. So I think this might be a good one. So let me do this. So I quickly copy the config. No, I don't delete the config. Come on. That is interesting. This might be the browser that I cannot really undo things. That's interesting. Okay, I immediately deleted something. I cannot get it back. That's crazy. Here we go. I might have the wrong keyboard layout. Yeah, possible. Anyway. Okay, good. So let me quickly now copy the config. Let's pop it in here. Okay, so let me see. Of course, we have to change stuff. So this is always the same. So we also materialize as a table. We have the stream. And then the data types. Let me see. I think the data types will be different here. Yeah, most likely. Okay, I just derived the properties from here, so I have to look what we have. Okay, let me get away with all this stuff. So I create the properties here already in the staging model, which is here. Yeah, here we have it. Okay, these are the different kind of properties that I send with that. Let's see if I have others later. Yeah, no, these are not interesting. Okay, let's start with these. Okay, I can create these data types. I mean, I have to format it a little bit. So, nope. That looks better. Okay, and of course this is not, we don't do it here. So in the end, what we do is we define the type, and I think these are all strings. Or at least I hope these are all strings. Oh, we can we check it? Just have to see where the data is coming from. Okay, it comes from the Tinybird source. Okay. I guess I have to quickly start the shell. No, shell is, no, yes, I had to. And let me quickly select the interpreter. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay, and then maybe I can already preview it. All right. Yeah, activity ID could, oh, this is not important for me. Okay, so lesson slug, lesson ID. I think these are all string fields. Yeah. Okay. So we keep them as string in there. So we define the data types here. Then let's see, what else do we have to adapt? just checking what I did here. So, okay, we definitely introduce, or we do this final one where we already lay out the let's say the different kind of fields that we need. So we should do this here as well. So it's a little bit what we did here. Let's call it final as, and then okay, I'll just do it in a very, let's quickly do a first version of it. So of course we have the ID, but it's not ID here, it's the customer. Yep. Good catch, Copilot. Okay, and then we define all the different kind of properties or dimensions. Okay, so which in the end we have everything in here as properties. This is okay. This is a little bit not so nice because I already created here the JSON object, because maybe I have to change this. Maybe I should change this. Okay, let's change this here, because I mean, because I was building all this thing by hand before, I created the JSON objects pretty early on, which in the end I think is not a good design decision, because I mean, of course, you could also just access data from the JSON object, but it always looks a little bit ugly. So let's get rid of that. So, okay, I will obviously break things now. So let me see. I think I can. No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And with this, we have all. Let me see. I think it pulls everything through. Yes. Hail to the star. So I just define it up here and it pulls everything through. Still not sure if this is the best design pattern. So if you watch this, you can be angry. Just say, okay, it's not really nice. Good, because with that, we can then, because we get it in here. So let me just quickly. It will not work. I have definitely debugged it, but at least like I can start using it like this, so that I have everything here. So one thing that you really have to make sure that it has the same name as the ones that you defined up here, so that then the final function can pick it up. Okay. Also, one thing that when I work with CTAs, which quickly happens to me, is that I forgot the select statement, and then I'm wondering why it's not working. From base, yes, and can do this a bit nicer here. We also need the activity. How did I do it here? No, we don't need the activity, because one thing that is a little bit different is like, so we take the activity from the model name. So we have course started, so the activities then course started, which I think that's good. It's a good design pattern. Do we need anything else? No, that's it, I think. Okay, so I can get rid of this one, because this is now what we just create by using this macro, which is nice. Okay. Yeah. I guess it will not work. Because, yeah, okay, first I have to create this, but I think this most likely. Let's see. So I have to get some duplicates out, because we don't need this. We already have this. Let's see. Maybe we can. How much do we have? 40 minutes. Let's do 5 minutes debugging. So I usually get pretty just frustrated when I do debugging and testing. I don't know. Don't really have not the good temperament for it, but I usually watch something while I do debugging, so to how to say, to get me in the right mood, but I can also now do it here. And I promise not to curse your heartbeats. Okay. Yeah, okay. Wrong folder. Same one. These are the nice moments when you do stuff. At least it doesn't have any obvious first errors in there. Okay, then we can also try if we can create the course started one. Maybe we can. Let's see. Yeah, it would be too easy. Yeah. Okay. Do we forgot a comma somewhere? Oh, that looks okay. Looks also okay. So if you have like this is always like the thing where you usually have to look into the compiled code. Okay, how can I quickly see the compiled code here? I have one weakness. I never really spend enough time to yeah, here we have it. To learn tools properly. Because then I'm too lazy. So, for example, I could spend enough time to use to learn dbt power users and set it up properly, and it would save me a lot of time. But for some reasons, yeah, yeah, doesn't matter. Okay, so it's in 27, but 27 looks. So we have this syntax error expect blah 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 at 2719. Well, I think this is like I had this before that when dbt, let's say, points you to where this errors happen, this doesn't really resonate with this one. So one, of course, like the obvious one, what you at least like what I do to test this out. And so when you watch this and think, okay, there's definitely a better way, why he's doing it so complicated. So I can always, I mean, I can copy everything over and just hop over quickly to BigQuery, and BigQuery will at least show me where this problem is coming from. So I quickly do that. Let's see. Yeah. Look. Yeah, this is okay, obvious. But this is the problem, like, I mean, obviously the error is on line 13. If I would have get this, of course, I would have seen that I missed a comma here. But I never really know where dbt is referencing that. This might be something they can fix in some way. Okay, let me try this again. I guess we can close this. Yeah. Okay. Yep. That looks good. Nice. Okay, that was really quick debugging. Yesterday, of course, like yesterday, I had to fix some formatting stuff that was not working right, so it took a little bit longer. And this is the nice thing. Once you have the structure, usually the rest of the step are quick. So what we can do now as a final step is like just at least create a proper model. So let me create the file first. Course started YAML. So that we have the model config, and then we can use the shortcut here, which is somewhere here. So we can use this one to create our config. Maybe this is something. I don't know. I know Bryce is working a lot of things, so maybe we can even find a way to do it automatically. So I know, for example, dbt coves. This is a nice thing. dbt coves built a really nice CLI, which I usually use to generate these kind of model files. So maybe we can see if this can be extended. So, okay, I just have to pop in the model. Okay, which is course started. Started, and okay, let's see. Nice. Because now we basically have to copy it by hand. Of course, it would be nice if it just land there automatically, automagically. But this is also fine. I mean, the good thing is this will not change significantly. I mean, it might change that, for example, you extend the feature JSON. I guess this mostly the changes. Everything else stays the same because like this is standard activity schema structure. So well, it looks good. And like as you can see, so we already find some tests. So I could now, let's say, next step would be like to run some tests against that to really check, okay, did I model it rightly? Especially like activity schema ID, unique test is definitely a good first indicator if you did some, if you introduced some duplicates. So that's helpful. No, that already is looking good. Okay, so what I will do, I mean, until the next video, so I will basically move everything into the using the dbt activity schema package, because then I can also like auto generate the stream here based on everything that I have defined. And then in the next live video, I hopefully will be joined by Bryce, and we will create one or two query tables. I need them definitely when I want to calculate my value experience user metric, which means like I'm looking for people who have started at least 4 videos or 1 playlist in the last week, 7 days, 30 days. So it's also like to figure out, okay, how can we play with different kind of time periods? And so for that, I will need the temporal joins, and so this is a good place, yeah, to work with it. And Bryce is really fluent with this stuff, so I'm pretty slow when I work with temporal joins because, yeah, SQL is not my first language, so I'm quicker with Python to do stuff. And so, but Bryce is amazing when it comes to that. I mean, he built the whole package, so he might speed things up, which is good for you when you watch it, and it's good for me because I get things done. All right, so everyone who was watching that, thanks for joining. Thanks for rewatching if you watch it later, and see you potentially next week.